you don't have people returning. That's the difficulty of college football, trying to predict it. Now we hop to number 7 team in the nation, Florida Seminoles, led by Manuel, their quarterback. A lot of talk about this guy, EJ Manuel. Only threw for over 2,000 yards last year, but definitely picked up some yards on the ground as well, and wasn't healthy the whole season. So you got to put that into perspective as well. The Seminoles will open play against Murray State, and Murray State definitely. When you think of Murray State, you think of them as a great basketball school, but not the same football school. That's a D1 AA team. And then next week, another D1 AA team in Savannah State. So you're looking at 2-0 right there. You go versus Wake Forest. Wake Forest, away from Wake Forest, not really the best team. Should be 3-0. Then a toss-up game, in my opinion, at Clemson. Clemson, a very good team this year, a very good recruiting class the last 2 years. So look for this to be a good game right here. But I think Clemson actually might pull this one out at Florida State. Florida State's never been a team, at least in recent history, that has been able to maintain going the whole season strong. I mean, they've always had one point where it seems like they've just fall off, and did have a bowl win over Notre Dame last year, but just another season, high hopes right here this year, and hopefully for the Florida State Seminoles, they can handle it. Then they go to UCF, BJ Daniels. That's another good game right there, potentially. UCF, started out 5-0 last year, I think. Yeah, 5-0 or 4-0. Ended up going 5-7 after that upset over Notre Dame at the beginning of the season. The South Florida Bulls. That's another potential trap game for the Seminoles, but I see that game being a win. They go to North Carolina State the next week. That should be a win. They play Boston College at home at Florida State. That should be a win. They go to Miami. Should be a win. Play Duke at home. Should be a win. Then another trap game, toss-up game, number 16, Virginia Tech. We'll get to them in a second as well. Virginia Tech, good team. Definitely a rejuvenated team, but it seems like Virginia Tech also a team that really, doesn't have it going on both sides of the ball the whole season. So I see the Seminoles winning this game. I see them going into Maryland and winning. And then they close out the season against the SEC school and the Florida Gators at Florida State. Of course, those two teams always match up every year. It was usually the Gators running over the Florida State Seminoles, but it's been definitely a change in culture since Urban Meyer left and Tim Tebow left the Gators, and I really do see Florida State winning that game. So Florida State potentially setting themselves up for a very good season. Number 8 team in the nation, the Michigan Wolverines, out of the Big Ten, will open up at Alabama. I already said that Alabama, I think, is going to win that game. Of course, Denard Robinson, their big guy, I think definitely has a chance at the Heisman. Next week, they play Air Force. Should be a win. Then they play UMass. That should be a win. They go to Notre Dame. Should be a win. At Purdue should be a win. Versus Illinois should be a win. Versus Michigan State, I think a little bit overrated. Should be a win. Go to Nebraska. Very tough place to play in Cornhusker land, but I do think that Michigan will pull this one out here. I do. I think Michigan's going to win this game. At Minnesota, definitely one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, as is Northwestern. Both those games should be wins. Versus Iowa should be a win. Then they close out the season at Urban Meyer's new place at Ohio State. That's another toss-up game for me right here. So I think that if they can pull out a win at Ohio State, they'll be headed for another Sugar Bowl or another BCS Bowl for sure. Of course, I think they're going to lose. If somehow they win that game versus Alabama, I think they have a chance at going to the national championship game. I mean, Denard Robinson is so explosive. As I said earlier, he has worked on his passing game, and the only 3 games I see them having trouble with is, of course, the Alabama game, the game at Nebraska on the 27th of October, and the last game of the season at Ohio State. If they can pull out the game at Alabama. I think that sets them up very, very well for the rest of the season. So watch out for the Wolverines. Michigan, led by Brady Hoke, definitely back to being a force in college football. Number 9, I like this team a lot. I mean, I don't like to root for them or anything, but I like this team, the way they're built. The South Carolina Gamecocks out of the SEC. Connor Shaw, really was impressed with him last year. Marcus Lattimore was super impressed with him last year. Jadeveon Clowney stepped up as a freshman after being the number 1 recruit in the nation, committing to the Gamecocks. I think he's going to step up on defense as well. This team, a very good team, went 11-2 last year, 6-2 in the SEC, and we're 5-0 against the SEC East. SEC East consists of Georgia, Florida, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, and of course South Carolina. So the Gamecocks open up the season at Vanderbilt. That should be a win. They play East Carolina at home. Should be a win. They play another Conference USA team the next week. That's University of Alabama at Birmingham. Excuse me. UAB was very bad last year. Please save me from that. But they do have Joe Webb as their alumni on the Minnesota Vikings. Certainly a good player he is. And UAB, I don't know why I'm talking about UAB, but they did upset number 25 team in Southern Miss last year, who went on to be the CUSA champions. Sorry I know too much about Conference USA, but that's how it has to be as a UTEP Miner fan. Week 4, the Gamecocks head to Missouri and play the Tigers. Should be a win. Then they head to Kentucky. Obviously, Kentucky, not the basketball school, or they are the basketball school. That's not the football school. So they're not the same in basketball as they are in football. So certainly, Kentucky's never been a great team, but we're a little bit improved last year. Got to give some props to the Wildcats. Then the big game on Saturday, October 6th, against Georgia at South Carolina. South Carolina did knock off Georgia last year at Georgia, so I do see the Gamecocks taking this game despite Georgia being ranked 3 spots ahead of them. So I think the Gamecocks will take this game. I think the Gamecocks will take the game at LSU the next week. I think they'll take the game at Florida, even though I think Florida has a better chance at beating them than LSU does, to be completely honest with you. But I do think South Carolina will sneak it out at Florida. I think they'll beat Tennessee at home. They'll have some trouble with Arkansas at home. And Arkansas very well could win that game, but, I don't know if I see that happening. That's really a toss-up game right there. Then they play Wofford. Wofford, a D1 AA school. And then, of course, the big rivalry at Clemson, another good team. So, you look at all these top 10 teams so far, they have good competitions. So, if South Carolina, everything can go for them right, Steve Spurrier, Connor Shaw, this team could very well be headed for an SEC championship game, and beyond that, who knows. Number 10, just talked about them being one of South Carolina's opponents. By the way, I know we're 37 minutes into the show, but if you want to call me, or if you want to text me, or you want to email me, you can call or text the number 562-481-9445. That's 562-481-9445. Give me your input on anything sports. We're talking college football right now, but throw anything at me because we're going to get to the other sports real fast as we continue through these rankings. And email me if you want to at HeatFan, HEATFAN. The number is 999 at yahoo.com. That's HeatFan999 at yahoo.com. Give me your input. Give me your take of the show. Ask me some questions. I'll answer them, and I'll give you a shout-out. So that's what's up right here. As we move on to Arkansas, another team out of the SEC, the 5th team. Seems like we're basically just covering the SEC as we go along here. But first 2 games against Jacksonville State and Louisiana Monroe, 2 games that are going to be wins. And the big game against Alabama. That's going to be a toss-up game. I think Alabama has the favor in that one. I think Alabama is going to win that game in Week 3. But that's definitely going to be a game that I'm going to be paying close attention to. Definitely another game to watch out for. Then they play Rutgers, should be a win. Rutgers out of the Big East. At Texas A&M, at Auburn, versus Kentucky, versus Ole Miss should all be wins. Then Saturday, November 3rd, I don't want to put them on upset alert, but another Conference USA team, the Tulsa Hurricanes. Obviously don't have G.J. Kinney from last year, but definitely another team that you can't sleep on. Tulsa's going to be another good team this year, so don't sleep on Tulsa, but that's another game they're going to win. At South Carolina, toss-up game, 50-50. I'm not going to make a prediction on that. That can go either way. At Mississippi State, should be a win. And versus LSU to close out the season, I think that will be a win as well. Ryan Mallett is just going to tear up the secondary for the Gyux Tigers. The Gyux Tigers. What an odd name. But obviously Arkansas, sky's the limit, I believe, for them. Finally, outside of the top 10, we head to number 11, the 11th ranked team in the nation. Back to the Big Ten. They open up the season versus Marshall on Saturday, September 1st. Marshall, of course, coming off a bowl game appearance, winning against FIU. Marshall, another good Conference USA team this year. That should be a win, though. Then they play D1 AA school, James Madison. James Madison was a very good D1 AA school last year, but obviously not going to compete with the likes of Geno Smith in West Virginia. They're home against Maryland. Should be a win. Home against Baylor without Robert Griffin III, as we mentioned. Should be a win. At Texas, going to be a tough game there, but Geno Smith gets it done at Texas. Gets it done the next week at Texas Tech. Gets it done at home versus Kansas State. Gets it done at home versus TCU. And then we head to the two games against Oklahoma schools. Saturday, November 10th, they'll be facing number 19 Oklahoma State. That's going to be a very, very, very good matchup right there. Obviously, as I said earlier, without Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman, but I think that's another toss-up game right there, a make-or-break game for West Virginia. And if they can win that game, then that's going to set up a very, very good-looking matchup between the Oklahoma Sooners and, of course, West Virginia. That's a game that I would watch out for if I were the Sooners, and watch out for if I was the Mountaineers. That's a 50-50 game in my opinion. Even though it's at OU, it's hard to win there, but you saw Texas Tech do it last year, so can't discount them. At Iowa State, it's going to be another competitive game, but I do think they're going to win. Are the Mountaineers there, and then they win to close out the season against Kansas. So West Virginia in their new conference should be another good year for Geno Smith and the boys, but it's going to be a toss-up. There's a couple toss-up games coming down the stretch. Wisconsin, without Russell Wilson, Monty Ball, what can you say about him? Ran for 1,759 yards last year. Was a Heisman candidate. Probably going to be another one this year if he can stay out of trouble. I mean, there was that weird attack on him. That 5 students attacked Monty Ball, who was reportedly involved in a fight, even though he denies it. So we're going to see if he gets penalized. He has not been in camp yet for the Badgers playing yet, so that's a little bit of a concern for Wisconsin. Danny O'Brien from Maryland is going to be the new QB there. I know my colleague Sam Rosen, that's his team, Wisconsin, out of the Big Ten. So Wisconsin's going to have another good year, but I think, to be completely honest with you, I think 12 is a little bit too high of a ranking for them. I do see them finishing in the top 25, but I don't know. We're going to have to see. They open up the season at home versus Northern Iowa. Might be a basketball score there, at least for Wisconsin. Then they go to Oregon State. Oregon State's going to be an improved team out of the Pac-12 this year, but I see them winning that game as well. Utah State should be another win. Man, week 4 against UTEP. I can never pick against UTEP. I'm going to have to put Wisconsin on upset alert here as well. Definitely a team that Wisconsin should beat, or could beat, but hey, you never know. Then they go to Nebraska week 5. That's going to be a tough game for them. I think they'll win there. Home versus Illinois. Tough game right there. I think that could be a trap game for the Badgers. At Purdue, should be a win for